Hey everyone, welcome to the most awkward part of any video interview where I need to give an introduction because it would be rude not to, but you can see exactly who I'm going to introduce and they need no introduction. So let's just get it out of the way really quickly. First ever AEW World Champion, frontman of Fozzy. You can't see him anymore because he's in disguise, which is great. Host of Talk is Jericho, the man who created his own champagne, and maybe the greatest ever wrestler. Definitely one of the greatest ever performers of all time. It is Chris Jericho. How's it going, Chris?
It's me. Surprise. Did I fool you? Oh, yeah, it's good, man. Just enjoying these new school interviews where everybody wants to Zoom now. So you can't just do them on your phone from wherever you are, which is the way I used to do it. So now I actually have to be responsible and find Wi-Fi in a nice area to do it in. So here we go.
It means you can't just do interviews while on the toilet or doing whatever you like.
Yeah, in bed. Exactly.
Yeah, but well, that's the world we live in right now. And, right now, we are looking forward to AEW All Out. I mentioned there, you were the first ever AEW World Champion, but maybe as impressive as that is, it's not as impressive as the fact that we've got a new match that we've never had before happening, and you're going to be one of the competitors in it. A Mimosa Mayhem match. Now that, Chris Jericho is the god of reinvention. You're the person that can do everything, adapt to anything. This feud with Orange Cassidy. You've been involved in many legendary feuds, but this one's maybe taken a few people by surprise as to how amazing it's been. How much of that's been down to you? How much has been down to Orange Cassidy? And just how much have you enjoyed this rivalry?
It's all me. No, I mean, anytime you have a feud. I mean, it's coming up to 14 weeks that we've been feuding, which that's kind of my specialty. I like the long-term storyline, and all of the best stuff that I've done, if you look over the years, has been over months, not over weeks. And I think the reason why this might have taken a lot of people by surprise is a lot of people didn't really know what Orange was capable of, including Orange. I've had the opportunity to put him in some positions that I don't think he's ever really been in before, or maybe not a lot. Cut a great promo during the debate, showing a lot of violence and fire and intensity. But this all stemmed from the fact that when I first saw Orange, I didn't like him. I didn't like his gimmick. And then I started understanding it and started realizing that this is really genius. And the reason why people like him is because he's very unique and original. And that's what the whole concept of getting over in wrestling is. And once I pulled my head out of my as you would say in Scotland, and realized that over is over and it doesn't matter why he's over. He just is. So now that he is, let me kind of dissect this guy and figure out what it is that makes people like him so much and what it is that they haven't seen from him. And 14 weeks later, we've created, a legit main event drawing card for AEW, which is one of the missions that I sought out to do when I kind of had the idea to work with Orange in the first place.
Yeah, my favourite thing about that is, as you mentioned there, I'm one of the people that didn't really know what to expect from Orange Cassidy, maybe didn't quite get it at first, but this rivalry has unlocked that door 100%. It seems like AEW has been going for a long time at this point. I think we're about a year and a bit into live TV. How do you feel like it's going overall? What would you, if someone said to you, how's it going in terms of AEW just overall looking from the outside in, what would you say?
Well, I don't think I have to say anything. I think you just have to look at the results that we've got, the ratings that we've been able to keep during the pandemic, and the demos. I mean, people think it's a joke, and obviously I'm milking it for all it's worth, with the demo god and everything. But it's a real legit factor in that television networks and advertisers are over the top, overjoyed with the demos that we've been able to accrue. And the numbers we've been able to accrue in those very important groups. So, and I think most importantly, our show every week, not every show is great. Every show is good. More shows are great, but they all make sense, 90% of the time, which is very rare in wrestling. And everything, at least for my stuff, everything always leads to the next part of the story. There's no wasted moments in a Chris Jericho storyline. If somebody, walks through the background, that's because there's going to be a reason for that later on. And I think we're very proud of the storylines that we've created and the great moments we've created, considering that I think probably we've had more time as a company during the pandemic with no people in the crowd than we did with people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're able to still create new stars, create classic matches, classic moments, compelling storylines, fun. That's the most important thing. We're having fun with this, and that shows as well. And now that we have, 10% capacity, 15% capacity of paying fans back in our venue, that's huge. I mean, last week, I think we had 500 people. It felt like Madison Square Garden because it was the first organic reaction that we had gotten since middle of March. And you can't replace that. And whether it's 500 people or 50,000, a live crowd is a live crowd. And that was something that really brought back a lot of the fun and the vibe to our show, and we'll continue to do so moving forward. So I think we've done a great job as a new company, and as a new company in the middle of a pandemic, which none of us could have predicted, but none of us can change. So you have to go with it, roll with it, and make it great. And that's what we've done.
Yeah, and that 500 did indeed sound like 50,000. We're going to mention a little bit more on crowds in a bit. But the one thing that I need to mention, you said there are no wasted moments. I remember about a year ago, I tried to write an article on the 10 best Chris Jericho catchphrases, and I struggled to get it down to 10. So Demo God, where did that come from? Did that just come straight out of the mind of Chris Jericho?
It's funny because we're not in competition, but of course you're in competition. And there was a few weeks that went by where our competitor was beating us in actual viewers.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course you don't want that, but they never beat us in the demo. And to me, I wanted to show that to kind of the naysayers that are like, see, the AEW experiment is over. It's like, it's not over, because if one company draws 1 million viewers and they only do 200,000 in this money-making demo, and another company draws 500,000 viewers but draws 400,000 of those in that demo, we win. But yeah. So it almost was like I wanted to, as a heel, I'm the one that can point that out. And so I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to start arguing about the demos. I think it was the week that Sasha Banks' match beat mine. She didn't beat mine because my demo crushed them. My demo still crushed Keith Lee's match with Adam Cole. So I take great pride in that. And so I started just saying, demo this, demo that. And of course, being an old, Dungeons and Dragons and heavy metal fan, we all know what demigods are. Yeah. And this was the demo god. So it just kind of rolls off the tongue. And like any other catchphrase, you say it once, you see how it goes over, people respond, people write about it, and then you're off and running. Let's make a t-shirt and cement it.
And sell millions of those t-shirts. Definitely.
Exactly.
So that's, we mentioned the AEW's, maybe a year and a bit into live TV. I believe it was, and correct me if I'm wrong at any point here, but I believe it was January last year that you signed a contract for 3 years. We're now maybe a year and a half into that, I think, if that's correct.
Something like that. Yeah, you're probably better with dates than I am, but I remember it was in January. So yeah, a year and a half in, absolutely. Yep.
Do you see yourself staying in AEW beyond that, or wrestling beyond that, or is it something you've not really thought of yet?
I never put a time limit on anything that I do wrestling wise. I mean, I thought back in 2015 it was time to wrap it up, and then I got into the angle with Kevin Owens, and things became fun again, which led to me going to Japan, and which made it even more fun, which led me to come to AEW, which is the best time I've had in the business in 10 years, 15 years maybe. So I will not go anywhere. I have no intention of leaving AEW, and I have no intention of not wrestling. But even if I don't wrestle ever again, I'll just commentate after that, which is something that I never really thought about until I had to do it when we had to film four weeks of TV in one day. And I just said, well, just put me on commentary. That way we don't have to worry about angles or because I hadn't really no storyline to talk about at the time. So let me just do commentary. And suddenly that became a thing. So yeah, there's no reason for me to go anywhere. I'm very happy in AEW. I'm very creatively stimulated here. And I enjoy coming to work every time, every week, every month, whenever it may be. And to me, that the fact I'm having as much fun as I'm having and doing the work that I'm doing now after almost 30 years in the business is a testament to the longevity that I have, and also to the great environment that AEW is providing for me.
Definitely. And we mentioned there that the word free agent might have came up there at some point, as in you're not going anywhere. So I need to ask you about someone that this week has apparently become a free agent. Brock Lesnar. A lot of rumours that Brock Lesnar might go to AEW. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Well, the only reason why the rumors there is because somebody said free agent. I don't think he's really a free agent at all. I think it would take so much money to pry him away from Vince McMahon on Brock's end, and then for Vince to approve that. I mean, Vince has $2 billion in the bank. What are you going to spend on Brock Lesnar that Vince isn't gonna match? And Vince and Brock have a strange love affair to begin with. So would Brock fit in at AEW? Would he pay back his salary that you would pay him to be in AEW? Who's to say? But I think UFC, AEW, I think this is just another one of the dances that Vince and Brock like to have, where Brock's contract expires, Vince lets it expire, and then they kind of stay away from each other for a few months until the next Saudi Arabia show, or the next show that has people in the crowd, or WrestleMania, or whatever it may be. So I don't think Brock is really a free agent in that sense of the word. I just think he's not currently under contract right now. But the amount of money it would take to tear him away from the world of WWE, A, would be astronomical. B, Vince would never allow it to happen. And C, I don't know if you could make that investment back, or if it would even be worth it for AEW at this point in time, or UFC, or any other company other than WWE.
Yeah, definitely. But you've got to admire the negotiating tactics, I guess, in some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a very, very smart guy, and Vince is a very smart guy as well. So I think they appreciate the duel that they have with each other.
Yeah, definitely. And we mentioned it a few times. Fans, AEW had fans back in the last week. Real fans, people actually sitting in seats. 500 sounded like 50,000 because of how loud they were. Obviously, WWE has brought in the Thunderdome. Have you got any thoughts on the Thunderdome and maybe Kenny Omega's appearance in the Thunderdome last week, as we've seen someone holding up a photo of him?
I think it looks great. I think it's a great idea. They desperately needed it. And, whenever you give wrestling fans a rope, they're going to, hang themselves. So, I don't think Kenny was really there, or, all these other people that they have. I mean, just go and have fun and enjoy the show. It's something out of, Black Mirror or The Running Man. It's very strange. It does look great, but once again, you cannot replace a live crowd. I would much rather have 500 real fans than 1,000 TV screen fans, and I bet you the WWE would agree with that. But having said that, I think it looks great, and good for them.
Yeah, definitely. And back to All Out, we've mentioned Orange Cassidy, but I want to ask you about someone else, or actually two other people, but we'll start off with this one. You mentioned it earlier, you've been, probably one of the biggest heels in AEW, maybe the biggest. Someone who may become world champion is MJF. What are your thoughts on MJF? Would you like to see him holding the title?
I think MJF is great. He's wise beyond his years. He's experienced beyond his experience, so to speak, in the ring. And he's a great heel. He's a great talker. He still is learning a little bit about his character, how far he can go either way with, the goofiness of it. But listen, whether he's the champion this week or not, either way, he's worthy of that spot. And he's in the main event of our pay-per-view that people are going to pay to see. So it doesn't matter if he wins or not. Hopefully he wins. If he doesn't, it's just another step to making him a top draw for AEW. He's done so much of it on his own, and now being put in that position of being in the main event and possibly winning the championship, that does nothing but good for him, for Moxley, and for our company.
Yeah, and on that note, Jon Moxley recently named at the very top of the PWI 500. You were up there as well. You were pretty close to the top. Do you agree with Jon Moxley being number one?
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with it. I mean, of course, I should be number one on every list ever published from now until the end of time. But if it's not going to be me, I think the guy who's made the biggest transition from WWE to AEW, and also taking AEW directly on his back. And once again, he won the title about 2 weeks before a freaking pandemic shut everything down. So he's done a great job with that situation that he was put in. And I think I would put him at number one. Like I said, I mean, there's a couple of the guys you could put in there, but I think Mox has given his heart and soul to AEW, and he's a completely different performer than he ever was under any other name in any other company. And this is the guy that I think he always envisioned he could be, and that I envisioned he can be when I started, recruiting him to come to AEW a year and a half ago.
And I've got one final question. Chris Jericho, you've done absolutely everything, musician, wrestler, entrepreneur, podcast host, absolutely everything, actor, throw in as many of those as you want. I don't think you've ever been a journalist though, so I want to turn the tables on you for something. This week, I'm going to be on a conference call with Tony Khan. If you were to let me in and tell me what I should ask Tony Khan, what would you want someone to ask him?
Well, first of all, I am a journalist. I have a degree. I have a degree in journalism, and I wrote for the Winnipeg Free Press and the Winnipeg Sun.
I forgot about the Winnipeg Free Press.
Listen, man, you're an interviewer, right? What's the name of your show? What is this show?
Well, this is Sportskeeda. This is for Sportskeeda Wrestling.
Okay, so you have to think of that. I can't do your job for you. What I would ask Tony Khan is different from what you might want to ask him. So, and I interviewed Tony Khan and Talk as Jericho as well. So, you have to figure out what interests you the most about him, and listen to the conversation. Sometimes the questions that you might have get thrown away because what you're talking about is far more interesting. But you have to be good enough of a journalist to understand that. So don't be the guy that just has a list of questions and doesn't listen to the answer because you're too busy looking at question 3. What did you have for breakfast today? And he's giving you the cure for cancer, but you're not paying attention and cut him off and go to your next question. That's bad journalism.
I was really, really hoping you were going to just tell me to ask him, can you give Chris Jericho a pay rise? But that might be my question anyway. We'll wait and see how it plays out.
Give Chris Jericho what?
A pay rise. Give him more money.
Oh, a pay raise.
Yeah, a pay raise.
Somebody said a pie rise. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
That as well. That could be a good match stipulation. We'll wait and see after the Mimosa Mayhem match anyway.
There you go, man.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.